Hi, this is Olajide from CTF Security and welcome to another interesting video in the Hack the Box series. In today's video, we're going to be hacking into PAPI, a window-based Active Directory machine that challenges us to escalate privilege from a standard user to domain administrator. Starting with just a set of credentials, we will exploit weak permissions, perform password attacks, and uncover sensitive credentials to completely compromise the domain. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back to the channel. Now, the very first thing we're going to do is head over to the machine information. And right here we have, as is common in real life pen tests, you will start the PAPI box with credentials for the following account. So we've been given Levi James account with the password King of Akron 2025. So we're going to grab that and I'm going to go to the terminal. We're going to quickly go to documents where we have our YouTube directory. Sorry about that. CD YouTube. And I'm going to create a directory called PAPI. And we're going to change directory to PAPI. I'm going to clear the screen. And then I'm going to just create a file called PAPI. So we're going to paste this credential there, and this is going to be the username, and this is going to be the password. Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to do is head over to the target IP address. We're going to grab that, and we're going to run a scan on that particular IP address using the Nmap scan, script scan, a version scan, and we can supply in our IP address, and as well we can save this to a file called PAPI scan. So this is going to take a while, so we just wait for our scan to complete. Okay, it seems down, and we are advised to add the -pn. So we're going to bring back the last command, and I'm just going to add the pn. Okay, so it looks like our Nmap scan is done, and we have some couple of results. For example, we have the DNS on 53, we have the Kerberos 88. We do not really have a web server. We also have Microsoft RPC. We also have LDAP. I think, do we have SSH? Nothing is actually showing on SSH right now. Okay, great. What about SMB? That should be on 445. We have the Microsoft DS on 445, and 139 we have the NetBIOS SSN. Okay, great. What about the host? We have the host to be DC. So the first thing we're going to do before doing any other thing is to actually use sudo to modify the etc/host. And we can actually modify and add dc.papi to our host file .htb. I'm going to save that, and we're going to close that out. All right, great. So since we have port 445, first thing I want to do is to check out the available shares on this machine. So I can actually use SMB client for that, and we can specify L, and we can specify the IP, which is 10.10.11.70, and I'm just going to paste that in here. And since we have been given a credential, we can decide to specify the U, and I'm going to grab the credential, which is going to be Levi.James. We're going to paste that in here. Let's put it in quotes. Copy.htb/Levi.James. So that's going to be our username, and we're going to send this. So let's grab our password. I'm going to paste it in here. And you can see the list of the available shares. But the one that looks interesting is the dev directory, which happens to be, sorry about that. Let's just move up a bit. So it's the dev directory, and it happens to have the dev shares for Puppy devs. So I'm thinking this is a share for developers on this machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the screen and bring the last command. We're going to remove the L, which is listing of the different shares on the machine. And we're going to try to access the dev. And we'll be needing credential. We need to pick that up again, and we're going to paste it. Okay, so we're in the SMB shell right now. And you can see when you try to list all the available files inside these shares, you get entity status access denied, meaning Levi.James does not have permission to view the files and directories within this particular share. So what we're going to do is to probe this machine using RPC client. And to do that, we're going to exit this, and we're going to access the RPC client with the same IP, which is 10.10.11.70, and our user is going to be Levi James. So what we're trying to do right now is try to gather all the different users that we have on the machine. So what we are trying to probe with is this particular user, Levi.James, and we will be needing the credential one more time. So I'm going to just paste that in here, and we are in the RPC client shell. So what I want to do is to enumerate domain users. Okay, so this is going to list all the available users on the machine, and we have administrator, we have Levi James, we have Ant.Edward, Adam Silva, Jamie Williams, Steph Cooper. So what we're going to do is grab all these usernames. I'm going to exit. We're going to use Sublime, and we're going to call them users. I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to save it. So what we want to do is try to use AWK to extract just the one inside the bracket. So I'm going to close that. First, I need to confirm I have users.txt, and then we can run AWK. We're going to filter using the angle bracket. And then we're going to print the second option, which is the second position variable. And we're going to pass the users.txt. We're going to give it a new name called extracted_users.txt. Okay, so let's see what we have now. Good. So you can see that we successfully extracted only the username from the entire users.txt. So before doing anything, what I want to do is make sure that I sync my time. So I'm going to use nt tdate. I got that wrongly. Sudo ntpdate. We're going to specify 10.10.11.70, which is our IP address of our machine. And you can see that the time has been synced. So what we're going to do next is to gather the BloodHound data using this particular user we have access to currently. And we're going to use rusthound for that, CE. And we're going to specify the domain, which is poppy.htb. The user we have access to right now is levi.james at poppy.htb. And our password is, thought I have that. So what I'm going to do is copy this for now. And maybe, I think I do have. All right, so let's just proceed and grab the password from here. So this is going to be our password. And we're going to paste it in here. So this is going to try to authenticate and also retrieve the different data objects that we're going to use to map the application to look for a possible privilege escalation vector to other accounts. Okay, so I think we're done. So you can see that all the JSON data have been extracted for the computers, containers, domain, GPOs, groups, OUS, and others. So what we're going to do is we're going to zip all these JSON files together. And we're going to put them, make sure the files that we are zipping are those files that end with .json. So the name is going to be called poppy.zip, or let's call it Levi_poppy.zip, so that we'll be able to identify that. Great. So now we have the zip file. Now we can remove every files that end with JSON for clarity. Now when we do ls, you can see that we've deleted all the files, and now we have our zip file, which is the Levi_poppy.zip. So what I'm going to do is start up my BloodHound, and since I have previous data on my BloodHound, what I want to do is to make sure I reset it. Before I actually run the command, I'll show you what I have on my RC. So we can have ZSHRC. That's correct. Did I got that correctly? Nope. Okay, let's do it this way. Then I can do cat, or rather ls. So I should be having my bash rc file. So this is the bash rc file. So for ZSH, that is going to be cat.zshrc. Great. So I have some command for my BloodHound, and for resetting the BloodHound, this is going to be the BloodHound-reset, and actually this is what it's trying to do: change directory to my BloodHound directory, try to run sudo compose down, reset the entire BloodHound database and then start up the BloodHound. So what we're going to do is I'm going to clear the screen. We're going to change directory back to document, change back to YouTube, copy, and we're going to run the BloodHound reset. So you can see it's actually resetting the entire BloodHound database, and we're just going to wait for this to finish. Okay, so I think we're good to go. The next thing I want to do is run BloodHound password so that we can actually extract the new password here. So I'm going to grab the new BloodHound password, and we can as well go to our UI and access the BloodHound. So this is going to take a few seconds to come up. Let's refresh. Still down. We're now good to go. So I'm going to close out the first tab, and what we need is to take this, our password. Sorry, this is supposed to be admin. So we need to reset it. Just going to paste the existing password, and the new password, I'm going to just set a new password. Let me just take that again. Going to reset, and this should launch our UI. All right, great. So what I want to do is go to the settings, go to administration, and I'm going to upload the new poppy.zip. We're going to go to YouTube, poppy, and you can see we have Levi_poppy_zip or .zip rather. And I'm going to upload. Okay, you can see the statue is ingesting, and this is going to take less than a minute to complete. Then we can now access all the different nodes within the machine. So the statue is complete. Now we can go to explore, and we can try to search for Levi, which is Levi James at poppy.htb. And when we double click on the node, we can right click and add to own. And when we double click, we have the different object information by the right corner here. And first thing I want to check is the different outbound object control and the membership. So first of all, let's access the membership, and you can see that this account is a member of users, authenticated users, everyone, HR, domain users, And when we go to outbound object control, you can see that this particular account has an outbound object control, which is developers at Poppy. And when you expand what we have here, you can see that Levi James is a member of the HR group, which has GenericWrite over the developers at poppy.hcp. So that means that we can actually modify the group membership by including ourselves into this developers group, since we have the GenericWrite as a member of HR group. So to do this, we're going to be using the bloody.ad.py inside the in-packet tool, and I'm going to activate my virtual environment. To do that, because I have the in-packet tool installed in the virtual environment. So we're going to look for, let's see, I think I've cloned this already. Let's just locate bloody AD. I think I have a directory on that before. Okay, so I think it should be this. So instead of downloading a new one, I'm just going to copy this into current directory. Sorry, I forgot to specify the recursive, since there are files inside. Now if you do ls cd, what do I have? Docker compose. Okay, currently I'm inside BloodHound. This is not where I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is, I'm still going to move rather bloody AD to maybe /home/account, which is going to be r007/document/YouTube/poppy, which is our working directory. Okay, so let's change directory to this. Great. So I'm going to move my terminal to bloody AD directory, and let's see what we have in there. Okay, so we have the bloody.ad.py. So I'm going to be using Python bloody.ad.py, and then we're going to be specifying host, which is going to be 10.10.11.70. We're going to close the quote. The domain is going to be dc.poppy.htb. We're going to close that, and the account we have access to, or the GenericWrite access, is Levi.James. We're going to close that, and we need to insert our password. So let's go grab Levi James password, and we're going to paste it in here. Then we can add group member developer. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to add Levi James into the developers group. and the user we want to add is Levi.James. So I think that should work. Okay, great. You can see we have Levi James added to developer group. Now, if you go back to SMB client and try to access the dev shares using our password as Levi James. Now, if we do ls, you can see that now we have the permission to view the different files inside the dev shares. Now, one of the files that caught my attention is the recovery.kdbx. So I'm going to get that, get recovery.kdbx. And since this particular file is the one that says project is just 0, I'm just going to leave that out. But it looks like we've successfully downloaded the recovery.kdbx. So what I'm going to do is to exit this for now, and I think I downloaded it to the bloody AD directory. So what I want to do is to move it back a bit. Sorry. To copy, or rather just grab this. So move recovery a step backward, cd /. So we have our recovery.kdbx. So I want to run file on that so that we can actually see what kind of file it is. And you can see that we have the file to be Keepass password database. So lucky for us, if we go to Google, I think we have a tool called Keepass for brute or something like that, which we can use to brute force. Yeah, so Keepass for brute. So I'm going to open that particular tool on GitHub, and we'll see if we can clone it and use it against this particular file. So I have to also make sure I have what's the name of the tool? Keepass XC. So if you don't have it, you can use sudo apt install Keepass XC. And this is going to install it. So let's see if we have our tool. So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to git clone. Paste this in here, and that should download the Keepass for brutes. So let's go into that directory, and you can see that we have a bash script, and we can use the readme to see if the instruction is there. So it's very easy to use. All we have to do is to execute the bash script, specify our kdbx file, and specify our word list. So in this case, we're going to be using ROQ as our word list. So what we're going to do is specify Keepass for brute.sh. The name of our file is recovery. Okay, it's not actually here. So what we can do is use .. to access it, which is going to be recovery.kdbx, and then we can use the usr/shares word list /rockq. Let's see if that works. So the script is actually picking each word from the rockq.txt and trying to supply it to the recovery.kdbx to actually verify if that is the actual password. Okay, great. I think we found a password, and that is Liverpool. And we can verify this password by running keepass xc against the recovery. I think it's in the other directory, recovery.txt, no, kdbx rather. And this should launch the GUI of the keepass application. So it says unlock keepass xc database. So what we need to do is to put in our Liverpool. So let's just turn this on. Liverpool. And we can unlock. Great. So you can see that we have access to the database of all the users. This is Adam Silva, and we can even access their password right here. You can see password for Adam Silva, for Anthony Edward, Jamie Williams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this somewhere here, and I'll just take this right here and try to paste in these passwords. So the first password we got is from Adam Silva, and this is what we have. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste. Let's go to Anthony Edward, view password, and we're going to paste. Then let's go to Jamie Williams as well. Samuel Blake, copy, paste, and lastly Steph Cooper, and paste. So I'm going to save this. Let's make sure we save it to our directory, which is the YouTube/Poppy, and we're going to call it passwords.txt. Let's add that at the back. And we're going to save. So I think we're done with the keepass. I can as well close this for now as well. Now we can spray these entire users with the password we just got right now to actually verify a password that we can use to authenticate over SMB. And to do that, we're going to use the net exec. We're going to specify SMB, and then we can specify 10.10.11.70, and then we can specify the users. Remember, let me just take this, copy and overwrite this and clear it. Since we have most of our scripts in the previous directory, yeah, great. So we have the extracted users, which is a list of all the users, and we have the password, which is a list of all passwords. So what we can do is paste the net exec, and we're going to specify the user to be extracted user.txt, and our password is going to be passwords.txt. So you can see that some of the credentials are failing. For example, administrator and the actual first password actually failed. We have status logon failure. So hopefully we're going to get an actual, I think I messed that up. Let's just run that again. Okay, so the one that actually authenticates out of all the credential is the ant.edward, and the password is antman. So I'm going to grab this and let's open our Sublime copy. So we got another credential. So this is going to be username. And this is going to be password. So if we go to our BloodHound data, let's see what information we have about that particular user called Edward. So I can do Edward. So based on the BloodHound data, we can see that Edward is members of some groups, which are the authenticated users, everyone, developers, senior devs, and other membership that we're able to see here. So what we're going to do is gather another BloodHound data. And before I do that, what I want to do is make sure I first of all reset. So we can actually do that with another tab so that we don't have duplicate data in our BloodHound. So I'm going to run the BloodHound reset again. So we're just going to leave that to reset the BloodHound database. So while we do that, we're going to gather another BloodHound data using the new credential we just got. So this time we're going to be using BloodHound Python. And we're going to specify the user to be ant.edwards. And the password is going to be, I think, Antman. To make sure that we collect all data in zip form. Sorry about that. That should be double. What do we have? Why do we have that error? Okay. So the issue was the domain that we forgot to add. Okay, so while that is collecting the different datas, we want to check if this is okay. So now we can run BloodHound password, and we got the new password. So I'm going to add admin. I'm going to paste the new password. Obviously, it's going to ask us to reset. So we're going to paste this, and we're going to paste our password. This is going to be new password, by the way. So we have new clean BloodHound environment. So we should be ready to upload new data. So I think it's done. And this happens to be our BloodHound data. So what I want to do is I want to rename it from 202509 to, let's call it Edward underscore copy.zip. So now we can go and upload. Just the same procedure. And it's going to take less than a minute to ingest into the application. It's analyzing, and it's done. So we can go into the node and we can search for Edward, since that is a new account we have access to. So I'm going to right click and add Edward to own. And when we scroll down here, we can see that Edward is enabled. And if you check the membership, these are the different membership of Edward. And if you go to the outbound object, you can see that it has just one outbound object. And this is telling us that the Anthony Edward is a member of Senior Developers Group, which has generic privilege over the Adam.Silva. So this means that we can try to change the password of Adam Silva using the bloody ad.python we used earlier. So to do that, we're going to move to our terminal, and I'm going to change directory to bloody ad once again. So we can try to do Python 3, very similar command, bloody ad, and we want to specify the host, the DC as well. The DC to be dc.poppy.htb. The user is going to be, this time around, we're not adding someone to a group. So the new user here is going to be ant.edwards. So that is what we are authenticating with. And our password is, I think, something called Antman also. Yeah. So we're going to grab that. We'll paste it here. And let me just remove this one since we're not adding group members. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to set password of Adam. Let's see that user again. We're trying to set password of, or reset password of Adam.Silva. So that should be adam.silver, and we can just use any password. So here I'm just going to use password. Can the O be? So I think this should work. So let me just take that also and add it to list of my credentials in case I need to use it again. So let's run it and see if this works. Okay, good. So we've successfully changed the password. Now, if you go into the BloodHound data and try to access Adam Silver, you see that Adam Silver account is not enabled. You can see that enable is equals to false. So that means that we need to actually enable this particular Adam.Silver account before we can be able to authenticate, even though after we've changed the password of Adam Silver. So to verify the account is disabled, we can as well use the LDAP search. I got that correctly. And we can specify the host, which is going to be LDAP .10.11.70, and we can specify the account, which is going to be, I think the name should be ants.edwards@hockey.htv. So that should be the name. You can get the different domain name from, I think, here. You can see the name we actually using. This is the ant.edward name, which we're specifying right now. And then we can specify the DC also to be equals to copy DC equals to then we can also specify the SAM account name to be Adam.Silver as well. I'm going to close the quote and I'm going to execute. I'm going to use the previous account password. And we're looking for the account information. I think user account also. Yeah, so which is this. So you can as well make this command a bit easier by piping it into grep. Then you can use your password. So, and this is going to be user account control 66050. Now, if I take this and head over to ChatGPT and paste this here. So it says you are looking at user account control value Active Directory. Let's break it down. The user account control attribute is a bit mask in AD that defines a user account property and flag. each flag is power of 2. So what we're trying to look at is the values that we have here. So you can see that we do not really have a value called 66050. But the plan here, or the idea here, is if we have a normal account, which is 65536. So do I have a calculator here? Did I get that correctly? That's clear. 65536, which is don't expire password, and we sum it together with a normal account, which is expected to be, I think, 512. So that is going to be plus 512. We have 66048. So this is what we have for a valid active account. When you add 2 here, it becomes account disabled, which makes it, let's take it here. So when you add plus 2, it becomes 66050, which is what we have, which means that the account is disabled. So what we're going to do is subtract what we have, which is going to be 6650. Did I get that correctly? 66050. Let's clear. 66050 minus 2. So what we're looking at is to set our user account value to this 66048. In order to do that, we'll need to create an LDAP data interchange file, which is meant to modify the value of our user account control. And that is actually very easy. So we're going to use Sublime, and we're going to create a file and call it enable.ldif. So that's going to be the name of the file. So I think I have, this one is the previous one I created. So let's delete. So I think that was the previous one I have. So let's do ls right here. Okay, so I think I have it here. So I'm going to remove enable. So I'm going to create a new one called sublime enable.ldif. So we're going to specify the name. And before we execute this, let's go back a bit, and we can bring back the L search or LDAP search. See if we can get the distinguished name. Let's spell that correctly, hopefully. And the user, let me just change this one to user account control. Just want to see if that is going to provide. So that should be Antman as the password. Okay, so we have this here. So I'll just quickly grab that. So that makes it a lot more easier for me. So I can specify the change type. We want to change which is by replacing the user account control, and then we want to set the user account control to, what value did our calculator say? 66048. So paste it here. So we're going to save. So to actually enable the account, we need to use the LDAP modify, and we're going to specify the host as usual, which is going to be LDAP 10.10.11.70, and then I think I already have all this information here. So all we need to do is to add the file, which is going to be enable.ldif. Oh, okay. This was supposed to be -d. And our credential is going to be Antman. Okay, so I think that worked. So we can bring the other command we used to verify the account name, which is this one. Paste our credential just to confirm if, okay, so you can see that our user account control is now 66048. So now I think our account should now be enabled, and we can try to use evo winrm, or rather I can decide to confirm, can Adam Silva run? Yeah, this is Adam Silva's account already. Okay, it's member of remote management user, so evo winrm should work. WinRM. So I want to specify the -i, then the IP. Then want to also specify the account name, which is going to be you and .silver. Then, not forgetting the password we changed it to. I think that was okay. I have it here. So sometimes you come across error which warrant you to actually rechange the password again. So because I think probably there's a script that is changing the password. So we might get authentication failed. So it says the win authorization error. Okay, so let's try that again. So what I'm going to do is I'll close this terminal and we're going to launch another one. And let's see, let's enable my virtual environment once more. And first of all, let's just try the evo winrm before I actually try to modify it once again. So if it fails, we'll just try to send the bloody AD Python command again and the LDAP modify. So I think it is going to fail. So let's just ignore that. So I'm going to use Python 3. I think let's go to documents /YouTube. Let's cd copy. So from the previous command, we ran the Python 3 and we did I think bloody ad/bloody-ad.py, and then we access the host, which is 10.10.11.70, and then dc.poppy.htb, as well as the user, then we set the password to adam.silver to be, I think, pass. Then we use the LDAP modify. Oops. But we do have, where did I create the enable.ldf file? Probably inside the bloody ad. Okay, yeah. So copy enable, just one step backward. So I think this should work. Great. So can we perform evil winner? No. Still the same issue. What could be the problem? Oh, finally. So I think it's the speed in which I am modifying the password and enabling the user account control that's the issue. So you can see that we finally got access to the adam.silver. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this command here in case we got logged out. So let's grab this as well. Just going to add it here. We also run hold up modify. And lastly, the evil nrm command, which is exactly what we have been running before. Okay, great. Not here. Here. So let's see what we got. So we do not have anything here. If we go one step backward, dir cd desktop, dir. So we have the user.txt file, which we can access, which is our first flag for this particular challenge. Again, if we do dir-h, you can see that this file is hidden because when you do dir, you only see the user.txt and the Microsoft Edge.link. When you do dir-h, you see that you have the file. So what I'm guessing is this is some kind of data protection API encryption here, where we'll need a master key and some credentials to actually decrypt the data. So if you actually want to know more about the data protection API, you can actually go to ChatGPT and let's paste the data and call it DPAPI. So I think that is how it is being spelled. It says what you shared looks like a data protection API blob. Let's break this down carefully. The data protection API is the window API for encrypting data tied to user accounts. These are the kind of thing it usually contains, like version information, flags, GUID, encrypted payloads, and stuff like that. So it's usually saved in, if you go to where is it usually saved? So it's going to give you the directory where it's usually saving, and this is usually in the app data / Microsoft directory. So it's actually giving me a path to that. So what I'm going to try to do is cd sorry about that. So the name is supposed to be Adam Silva. Okay. So we're going to go to Microsoft. So we have the credential directory and we have the protect. These are the two directories where you have the data protection API credential and the master keys as well. So if you do cd credential, first of all, we can see that this directory is empty. So you can see there's nothing in this directory. So even if you try to view the hidden file, so you can as well move back a bit to protect. as well, and you do dir-h, nothing. So you do not have data here. Okay, I think we have something. So what I'm going to do is change directory to this. And dir, do we have anything? Nothing. Okay, so I think we have data here. There's nothing inside the credential database. What we're going to do is try to see if we can find any other interesting file on this machine. So let's go to the root of this machine. So we have backups. You can go to backups. So we have sites -backup -2024 1230.zip. So what I want to do here is make sure I download this file to my machine. And since we are running from the EvilWinRM shell, it's very easy to download. So you can just do download sites backup 2024.zip, and this should be able to download the file. Okay, we have 23% done. Okay, so we have successfully downloaded this file. So what I'm going to do for now is to exit. And when we do ls, you can see the file we just downloaded. And next thing I want to do is to unzip sites backup. So I think that is what we have here. CD copy. Okay, so these are the files that we have there. So when we do 3, you can actually see the list of all the files in this directory. So what I'm going to be accessing is this backup file here. And if we do ls now and we cat nm.backup, you can see that we have some credentials and username inside this backup file, which username is Steph.Cooper and the password is Chef Steph 2025. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that, and what we want to do is paste those credentials here. So also grab the second one. All right, cool. So I'm going to go into my AD and we're going to look for BloodHound rather, and we're going to look for Steph Cooper, which is this one. So is Steph Cooper account enabled? Of course, yes, it is enabled. Let me just zoom in a bit. So the account is enabled. It does have home directory, meaning we can actually log in and access files. And then let's see, do we have any? Okay, let's check the membership. It's part of the remote management user. So that means we can use EvilWinRM to log in to Steph Cooper's account. And the username as well, this is Chef Steph. Great. Now, since we have some elements of data protection API on the previous account, which is, just a second, what was the name of the previous account? Which is Adam Silva. So the first thing I will want to do is to actually check that same directory to actually see if we can find some credentials or master keys to actually decrypt the credentials. So to do that, we're going to scroll up and take note of the directory which we access, the credential directory and the protect folder. And I'm going to grab that directory and we're going to change directory to that. Oops, I need to modify the name. So this time around, that should be Steph.Cooper. Good. So we have the credential and we have the protect. So let's start from the credential. Looks like nothing, but if we do -H, so you can see that we have our credential here. So what I'm going to do is to download this file. But if you try to download using EvilWinRM, this is actually going to fail. But let's see if it's going to work. So it's going to fail. Let's open a new terminal and change directory to YouTube/Poppy. And we can turn on our virtual environment as usual. And then we can start our SMB share, which is local SMB share, so that we can be able to copy our file from the machine to that share and access it from our local machine. So that is going to be in packet SMB server share, and we're going to use our current working directory as the location, and we're going to specify SMB support, SMB2 rather, support. So I think that is waiting for us. So what we're going to do right now is copy this into that shares, which is going to be on 10.10, which is our local IP right here, .14.137, then /share. We're going to give it a name. Let's just call it credential_blob. So let's see if that's gonna work. Cool. So let's go one step back again. and go to protect dir to see what is inside. We're going to change directory to this. What do we have? It looks like it's empty, or we need to view hidden file as well. So I think this should be our master key because it's inside the protect directory. So we're also going to copy that. We're going to use copy. I'm going to paste. Then we're going to put this inside the shares, which is where do I have it? Where do I have it? Where do I have it? From the previous command. Yeah, here. And we're going to call it master key dot blob. Sorry, underscore blob. So it's not actually an extension. Okay, so let's verify that this actually copied. Let's make this big. So we're going to stop the SMB, clear the jumps, and let's see. So you can see that we have our credential underscore blob and we have our master key underscore blob. So the next thing we're going to do is to use an in-packet tool called DPAPI to decrypt this DPAPI master key file so that we can actually use the key to decrypt the credential. So to do that, I'm going to use the in-packet dash DPAPI, and we're going to specify master key. The name of the key is master key underscore blob. Then we're going to specify the password, which is going to be the name of the account, which is Chef Steph, since that is the account where we found the data protection API, and we're going to paste that in here. So since we have exclamation, let's just put this in quotes, and then we need to specify the SID, which is where we downloaded the master key from. Now you can actually get this from here. So this is where the SID is. I'm going to paste the SID and let's see what we have. So it says master key file. It has been decrypted with user key. It's actually MD4 protected, and the decrypted key is this. So I'm going to grab this as well, and let's just put it somewhere here and call it decrypted key. Good. So the next thing is to decrypt the credential, and we're going to also use the same in-packet tool to do that. The DPAPI. So this time around we're using credential, and the file is going to be, what was the name of our file? Credential underscore blob. Then we're going to specify the key, which we decrypted earlier. So, which is this one. Or you can actually grab it from the terminal right here. So We're going to execute. And you can see that we've successfully decrypted the credential, and we got a new username, which is Steph.Cooper_admin, and we got the password. So I'm going to grab this and also add it to our list of credential while we go to the BloodHound. So we're going to search for that particular user. We just got the credential, which is Steph.Cooper_admin. So you can actually see that, let me just scroll a bit. Steph_Cooper_admin is a member of administrator, which makes it very, very interesting, because since we're a member of the administrator, we might be able to use secret dump to dump all the credentials of all the users, including the users inside the administrator. So if I click on the administrators, we'll be able to see all the members here, which we have administrator at Poppy as one of the members. So we should be able to dump this particular hash of this user and then use it with our EvilWinRM to log in as the administrator on the machine. So let's see how we can actually do that. So we're going to go to the terminal. So it looks like we are done with the Steph Cooper account. So we can actually exit. Now let's bring back the EvilWinRM. Sorry, not this one. We don't need to log in for now. So what we can do is use the in-packet secret dump, which is going to dump all the hashes of the users on this particular Active Directory, including local users. So we can specify poppy.htb, which is the domain, / the name of the user is Steph Cooper Admin. So we should be able to specify that here, and then the password for that account is 5 chipon on its way. I don't know what that means. So we're going to paste that in here inside the secret dump. We might want to close the quote and then specify the IP address, which is 10.10.11.70. So I think that has started, and this is going to take a while. So while we wait, we just listen to the music. It started the service remote registry, then it specified the target system boot key, and it's also dumping local SAM hashes. So in any moment from now, we should be able to see all the local system hash. Then it's going to move to other users in the Active Directories. Okay, so I think we have the administrator local hash, but that is not really what we want right now. We're just going to wait for it to dump other hashes as well. We have the guest and the default account. So it's now dumping cache domain logon information. Okay, so it looks like it has successfully dumped all the user hashes. So the first instance that we have was the local machines. So it dumped all the local accounts, which is the administrator, the guests, and the default account. And then it proceeds to dump all the cached domain, logon domains, and then it moves to, so it proceeds to dump the domain credential, which is exactly what we are expecting. And you can see that we have the administrator account to be 500, and this is the LM hash, and this should be the NT hash. So what we're going to do is to grab the administrator credential, which is the hash, and I'm just going to put this here, call it administrator. So since we have that, we can as well bring back the evil in RM. And this is going to be H. Since we want to authenticate using the NT-LM hash, or the NT hash rather, so we're going to fetch this. And we're going to paste. That should give us access to the administrator. So now we are the administrator. We can do dir, move one step back to desktop. Then we should have our root file on the desktop. Which is this. So guys, that'll be all in this video. If you've learned one or two things from this video, please kindly like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps create content that you love. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.